Well, welcome to the webcast today. I'm Adriel Burley from Operation Compass, the Oasis Townsville, a Veterans Wellbeing Centre. Actually, I'm one of the major wellbeing programs for mental health in Townsville, North Queensland. I was here with my colleague from the Mentally Healthy Cities Project, Tropical Brain and Mind Foundation, Cathy O'Toole. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you, Adriel.
Thank you for inviting me to talk about some new content that's become available. It's going to be really helpful for the wellbeing of our, in this case, veterans businesses. And that doesn't mean anything's exclusive. We've got the 25% of the population of Townsville. It's a garrison city, and our veterans are either customers or clients anyway. So it's important to everyone. Cathy, just described, well, we were talking about small business, what this is wheel here. What you're actually launching in these webcasts 4 different workshops, but they actually relate to this wheel somehow. What is this wheel about?
Well, what we did with small business, Adriel, was really interesting in talking to small business about what matters to them and what did they think were ways to encourage wellbeing in their particular space. And we talked to a diverse range of small businesses in our community. And it was really interesting when we collated all the information that was provided to me. We picked that there were 7 key areas that small business could think about. And one of them was understanding the workspace. Now, that was regardless of whether or not you work outdoors or indoors. And it was about thinking about the little things. We all think about where furniture is placed. We all think about workplace health and safety. But it was also about thinking about the little things like light, access to fresh air, the ability to have breaks throughout the day to ensure that you're mentally stimulated, hydrated, particularly if you work outdoors is a major issue. So those sorts of things were the simple things, great advice that we got in that space. Enhancing connectedness, this is really, really important. What we see in a lot of workplaces now, quite simply, is exchange of emails. So I have a message I want to deliver to my colleague, I'll send an email.
Even across the room?
Yes, even across the room.
Talk to each other anymore.
Yes, and what we discovered was employees who feel connected, who feel valued and who feel safe, they need that face-to-face personal connectedness with the person that they report to or their direct employer, in the case of small business, and it makes the world of difference. So one of our employers said, I make time, at least 3 or 4 times a year, if not more if I can, to have lunch with each of my employees, to sit with them and just chat. It's not a appraisal, it's just a chat. How are you travelling? What's going on? Just general conversation. And what has come from that and a focus in that space alone has been increased productivity. People feel valued and they feel listened to and they feel heard, and their opinions of how business can be improved are being heard. So productivity's up. Then we talk about how do we build capacity, and how do we look at each individual? How do we look at what strengths they may have that we could improve? Are there some areas that are lacking? What can we do to support that with training, whether it's in-house or externally? Looking at the continual improvement process. And the interesting thing about this was the employers that we talked to, and one in particular, was about think about where you want to be and then backcasting. Where am I now? What's the journey to get to where I want to be, and how will I continually work for improvement?
It's interesting you mention that, because often in the case of veterans who are sort of purpose searching after they've left whatever service they were in, and in the case of Townsville that can be up to 800 a year, is what's my new purpose, and how do I get recognised for what I know, and then how does that new purpose or reconfigured purpose therefore get valued. And in many respects it's better therefore to start a business than it is to search for a civilian certificate. So in that case we're saying, well, what is it we want out of business? How does it fit to the purpose of what we want to try and do as a product, but also what I'm trying to do as a group of people with certain leadership skills. I like the fact that you were saying that it's enhancing connectedness, in that we're wanting to ensure that people have new sets of communication skills for a new situation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's changing all the time.
It's also too about if you're connecting with someone, you learn more about what their skills are. And one of the things that I think we fail to appreciate and to do more of is looking at how we can map transferable skills. So people from the Defence Force bring in a range of skills that if you got to know them and got to know how those skills could transition into your business, and then how do I appreciate those skills and how can I use them in my business? Because the notion of transferable skills, we know about it, but I'm not so sure we do enough of it to really help people.
We know about it, but do we actually articulate it?
Yes.
And I think it's possibly the opportunity in this particular workshop, this one in relating to shift your mental model, as in yours, not anyone else's, is important for that. Well, I want to jump back just quickly and say that what's this got to do with our initial projects? What about your project? How does this relate? Obviously, it's a product of the project, but why would the rest of the community of any mentally well city need or use this particular workshop?
Well, one of the things that we say at Mentally Healthy Cities is mental health and wellbeing is everyone's business, but it must start with me.
Okay.
So if I'm not looking after my own wellbeing and looking after my own mental health, what is the likelihood that I will understand how to do that and how to share that and ensure it's happening with my colleagues in a workplace, or if I'm the owner of a business, the people that I employ? It's really, really important. And the definition that we have for mental health and wellbeing from the WHO is really interesting, because we talk about people being able to contribute to community. We talk about people having purpose in their life. We talk about them being able to manage the everyday stresses of life and to be connecting with those that are important to them in their life. That's family, friends, and of course, work colleagues. If there's no connection in the workplace, it's very hard for the workplace to have a good culture.
So in some respects, we're saying, well, we need to shift our mental model before we can do anything else. We're sort of saying lead yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you, in many respects, in the case of these suite of workshops and webcasts, let's do this first and then go from there. Just to let you know, Cathy, in relation to my project, what we've found over time in Operation Compass, as I mentioned, it's not about chasing ambulances, for want of a better word. It's such a shocking pun, but that's what's happening. And 20 years of that's not worked. What we're saying is that a veteran and their families that might find a sense of purpose through business, I'm not talking about profit, that's up to the world and the markets, is never going to get a level of protective factors to keep them well. And in shifting a mental model for someone that's already well, keep them even better, flourishing, for a better word, than just surviving.
And I think that's really critical for every individual, regardless of age, is do I have a purpose to get out of bed every day?
Yeah.
You know, this, and what is one thing that I've taught myself is what is one thing I can start the day with that I can start and finish. I can go, great, I've done that, and tick it off. And for me, it's a really simple thing. Make the bed. Yeah. I can start it, I can finish it, I can tick it off, and I've accomplished something. It's only small, but I've accomplished something before I've walked out the door. And I found that really helpful in saying, okay, today's going to be a great day, and I can start things and I can finish things, and I have a purpose. I mean, I'm not saying that your purpose is to make your bed, but what I'm saying is we all have to have a purpose. We all have to feel valued. And one of the things that we're seeing is that as people age, that value and that, I suppose, purpose in life really diminishes, which is really, really sad, because with age comes wisdom.
Yeah, but I would also say that when our veteran brothers and sisters leave the wire or the base, it's as if they're starting their childhood again, and that purpose question's just as profound.
Oh, definitely.
So you've developed this 7 ways to wellbeing in small business. We're really talking about any grouping of people, really.
Yes.
And at the Oasis, as an extrapolation of Operation Compass, we talk about the 10 factors human factors. And that's about recognising I think, and this is why we're doing this webcast, is those two models actually are the same thing. So we wanted to explore that. And hopefully you'll join us for the rest of this and 4 other webcasts on this training that we are launching today, online and in person. It would be good to talk about this bit further with you, Cathy.
Absolutely, Adriel. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.